didn't see you there. Bruce here, Dirtbaggery. Got another book review going on tonight. Before we get into that, I got an interesting DM on Twitter today, and I had an author who's up for a certain award send me a review copy of his book so that I can read it and say what I think about it. That being said, I don't do reviews of things I don't like because I don't have energy for that. If I don't like it, I'm not going to read the whole thing, so I'm not going to review it. So any video I put out on my channel that is me reviewing a book, it's a book that I liked, because if I didn't finish it, I didn't like it, and I'm not going to talk about it. So that's why I don't want to kind of put the name on blast. I'm sure I'm going to like it from everything I've seen about it. People have recommended it to me, so I'm sure I'm going to like it. Let's talk about it once I finish it. Tonight we are talking about Land and Sea Tides of Redemption, which is the 6th book in the Land and Sea franchise. You could probably treat it as book 4. It would go real nicely along with the trilogy, because book 4 is just a collection of short stories, and book 5 is a legitimate standalone story. Book 6 here, Tides of Redemption, has Natalia Falto in it, and she was in the trilogies, and she's a massive character in this book. Colonel Slade's also in it. He has a few chapters where he's the POV, and then there's a bunch of new characters added in, and we'll talk about that a little more in the video. That being said, Land and Sea Tides of Redemption, like the other books, was written by Blaine Pardoe. It was published by Wargate, and it was released in November 2023. To give a quick synopsis of the book, I'm going to read the official blurb that is on the Amazon page. All right. Tides of Redemption. Book 6. American war hero, Marine Staff Sergeant Natalia Falto has given her all and then some fighting the alien invaders. Made a prisoner of war in the fighting on Guam, she suffered at the clutches of alien scientists, losing both legs, an arm, and her ear. The psychological damage was even more devastating. Her replacement limbs may have made her whole in body, but all the tech in the world cannot fill the gaps in her soul. And the world is about to learn that it is nearly impossible to keep a good Marine down. When the U.S. downs a massive alien ship in Greenland, they sent in the Army Rangers and the elite All-Asher Omega Force. They also sent a secret weapon, a person with experience living with the aliens for months during her internment, Natalia Falto. The U.S. isn't the only nation making a grab for the alien ship. The U.K.'s elite Royal Marines, 45 Commando, beat the U.S. to the ship. While the Americans and British square off, it becomes clear that the alien fish have insidious plans of their own. With the British and the Americans at each other's throats, and in their enemies' sights, their best hopes lie with the one person who is riding the tides of her redemption. Let's get into the things that I liked about this story, and there's a lot. So, first on the list is the setting. The setting here is Greenland. That's where the bulk of the story takes place. That's where the alien ship crash landed after it was shot down. It's a cold, dark, kind of mysterious place. It's desolate. When you're there, you feel there's this huge sense of isolation, because once the Americans and the Brits land there, there's one, I believe the radio contact's not great, and two, even if there was good contact, there's not like a lot of stuff that's close to come help. So you're kind of on your own. If S hits the fan, buckle up. I hope you got each other's back, because you're on your own. So there's this really, the isolation of it all, I think, really builds with the unknown of what's inside this alien ship. Because even though we've encountered the aliens, we don't really know much about them anyway, and we've never been on a ship. We've blown one up and we have a POW who's been inside one, but nothing like this. We don't know what's going on inside there. Because even Falto, I mean, she only went where they took her, so she doesn't know all the nooks and crannies of an entire alien fish spaceship. So there's a lot of unknown that works really well with this isolated, cold, creepy feeling of being in this remote part of Greenland. It reminds me a lot of like how kind of like the vibe of The Thing. Yeah, I think the setting works really well with this mission of having to go into this unknown. It's not like because all the other battles are just like, we have our battle lines, we have our fronts, and we're fighting. This is like there's a much bigger creep factor with this story, which is the next thing I'm going to talk about. The elements of horror. So in this one, Blaine definitely cranked up the creepiness. I mean, aliens are creepy in general, and all the other books, yeah, there's scary moments and it's stressful, but he definitely leaned into the elements of horror a lot more in this book, talking about shock, fear, and dread, and those all come into play in this book. Shock is always the easy one to lean into, and with this one, we see, with this story, some of the shocking new things we see new aliens, we see new ways to die that will, quite frankly, going forward, only help to increase the dread and fear that we feel around the ship and the aliens and all the horrible things they can do to us. I don't want to really give too many details away on that. Let's just say I don't know if there's a worse way to die. I don't. It sounds awful. I think that Ridley Scott would be proud. In addition to the unknown that we get going inside the ship, even with Falto with them, like, we still don't really know what's going on, what they're going to find. We get this really like anxious, horrible sense of dread from Natalia Falto, because she's having all of these memories rush back to her. She's getting overwhelmed when she gets into certain situations inside this ship. She has to overcome, it's not even fear, it's just straight up dread. She can't even, even in the book, she doesn't even explain it as fear. She's like, this is not fear, this is, I think she refers to it as her memories. And they lock her up, and it gives you this really like tangible sense of dread that is, and coupling with just how creepy the inside of because like the ship that she was on and when she was imprisoned was creepy enough when it was working. Now it's like an alien ghost ship, which is even more terrifying. I mean, if you think about like what she went through on this ship, she was experimented on, she was mutilated, she had watched people waste away and die horrible deaths while she ate slop and her teeth fell out from malnutrition, and she was peeling her skin off as it like flaked away from grime buildup. It's so good. I don't know how really, I don't have a more eloquent way of explaining how much I like this, the creepiness, man, the dread. It's kind of a horror book. It's middle sci-fi with some, it's like, you know, Dead Space or Alien. It definitely creeped up into the horror section a little bit. You could probably slip this one. I don't know if it would be a full-on horror book like Alien, or story like Alien is, but he definitely cranked it up. I'll say that. Good job, Blaine. Let's talk a little bit about world building. Now, I know this is Earth, but it's alternate future Earth, so there's plenty of things that we don't know about it. Tides of Redemption gives us a deeper explanation or background into White Monday and then the events after that, which led up to the Russo-Bratva War. It allowed us to see how other countries viewed how we were kind of behaving, I guess. Some of our allies kind of felt like we were overstepping our bounds. And then we kind of felt betrayed by our allies not coming to our assistance. And it kind of built this good tension between what we know is going to be this multinational situation going on, this international situation going down here at the ship, where the Brits and the Americans, who used to be good allies, now are kind of bitter with each other. Both the officers in charge of these two teams don't like each other just because of what country they represent. They both have huge issues with each other's countries. And then it shows us how other countries viewed America even before the fish, how the Russo-Bratva War kind of set up all these international relationships for what they are in the current day in land and sea, which is, it's just cool. You kind of see how, you know, kind of more playing into that theme that Blaine has going on, where we are not united. Humanity is not united, and this kind of explains a little bit more as to why we're not uniting in the face of the fish, even though we probably should. And we might see a little bit of the benefits of what happens when we put all that stupid stuff aside and decide to unite in this story, which is just one more reason why I really like this book and all the land and sea books. But this one specifically really kind of plays into a little bit more world building, like I said, and you know, into that theme of we need to unite against these stinking fish. Of course, saved best for last, let's talk about the characters. Yes, like any good story, Land and Sea, Tides of Redemption is driven by the characters, none more so than Natalia Falto. As the name suggests, and so did the blurb, redemption is a huge theme in this book. And while she is kind of the main character, she's not the only character that can kind of represent redemption. Now, I don't know if that was intentional or if that's just something I kind of, connected in my head that wasn't really meant to be there. But I feel like it was meant to be there, and it's there, okay? Just it's there. So another character in the Land and Sea franchise that we've seen kind of go through a redemption arc, Mr. Reed Porter, our favorite Marine who kind of looked up to Natalia as his moral compass, and in times of fear and uncertainty, he would look to the mantra of what would Falto do to help guide him to do the right thing. And we see that kind of repeated here with Falto, whereas she, not only did she in this book reach out to Reed to kind of get his opinion on what she should do when she was offered the totally optional gig of going along with this team to Greenland or not. And she didn't know what she wanted to do. So she was struggling with it. She called Reed. He's like, "What are you talking about? Stop being dumb. Get on the plane and go." But anyway, like he would say, what would Falto do in times of duress for her when she's kind of starting to lock up? She looks to Hannibal Rickenberg, who was her staff sergeant in Splashdown. Says, what would Rickenberg do? What would Hannibal do? He's the mariniest Marine that's ever friggin' lived. And that kind of helps her to push through these moments where she's kind of faltering and failing. So throughout the story, we get to see her kind of go through this journey to confront this, as I said, she doesn't call it fear, but it's these memories that just wash over her, these like tangible experiences that are still almost kind of still happening to her, the way that it's affecting her. Like she gets in these situations that trigger these memories and she locks up. So we see her kind of go through this journey throughout the story where she starts to learn to kind of overcome it, to confront these things, to the point where she gets, I'm not going to spoil anything, but essentially she comes to a point where she has a chance at redemption, hence the theme, the name of the title. And yeah, it's very pleasing to watch. You do feel like she's made a realistic, well, aliens and whatnot, but like a believable journey to overcome this pain, this trauma, and that it wasn't given to her. She didn't just get it because she's a woman. She got her friggin' butt kicked, literally ripped apart, and she kept fighting. She didn't give up. She had help. She took help. She was smart enough and wise enough to take help, and when she needed it, and she ended up coming out stronger and better for it. And I can't wait to see her in Cyclones of Chaos, because that's going to be super rad. Again, I kind of touched on this in I think it was my second review of Riptides, but it's worth noting again that Natalia Falto is a strong female character in an action role, and Blaine basically shows you how to do it right. She's not she is the antithesis of a Mary Sue. She loses really bad, and she keeps on fighting to win. She's not perfect. She isn't automatically great at things. She works her freaking butt off. Everyone around her isn't stupid so she can be good. No, they're great. In fact, they help her. One guy, oh my gosh, a man with XY chromosomes, actually saves her life. It's a good reminder for all you dinkuses out there that call everybody incels and chuds who don't like seeing these paper thin, fake Mary Sue female characters. We just want good characters, and Natalia Falto is a great character. But like I said, I don't really feel like she was the only character that kind of exemplified this theme of redemption. So I kind of got this sense with the two officers in charge, Major McKenna and Captain Wade. Captain Wade, the American, Major McKenna is the Brit. They had this whole time, like you have all this exposition. They kind of telling you about why they hate each other. Some of it like goes on like literally like family members dying because of other countries. Anyway, there's like a deep seated hatred and animosity that's makes these two men and I guess these two men and by extension their entire units not trust each other, not want to work together, quite frankly putting their lives at stake because now they're not coordinating when they are going to be getting attacked by fish. And it puts everybody in danger because they're not willing to set all this crap aside and just work together. And we do kind of see them slowly, like begrudgingly kind of give each other some respect, start to, maybe not confide, but be honest a little bit with each other, where they start to do things for one another that actually kind of gets them in trouble with their higher ups. I think it was intentional by Blaine to give these two men from two different countries that used to be strong allies that now have kind of fallen out with each other, or rather indifferent with each other, and whose citizens kind of might have a lot of animosity, especially their military service members might have a lot of animosity towards each other, to allow them to get past that, to not necessarily become friends, but at least work towards the greater good. And lastly, not the biggest character, but kind of, I really enjoyed this character. Veronica Diamond, you might remember her from Splashdown. She was a reporter that Dana Blaze totally screwed over in order to basically get her out of the way. In this book, I feel like Veronica is kind of a stand-in for Dana's redemption. Like, we see her, she gets Fizz like out of his house, like back out in the world, kind of helps him get past Dana's death. And then we also see her kind of come to a realization about her work and how she's living her life. I don't want to get too detailed, but it definitely feels it's like a revelation. And it really, to me, it felt like it was like she was kind of a redemption, or at least maybe Dana helped her to be redeemed and not go down the same road maybe that Dana did. That's all I got for this review. I love the book. Like I said, I'm only going to be reviewing books that I like, so you can just expect that if you see a video on my channel, it's because I like this book. Please, please, please go support Land and Sea. It's a great IP. The people running it actually give a crap about the stuff they're making. They give a crap about their fans. They want to grow this community to last who knows how long, hopefully forever. Yes, please go support Land and Sea, whether it's buying their books, backing their graphic novel on Indiegogo, whatever you got to do. Join the Discord. I can't wait for the next book to come out. As soon as I read it, I'm going to throw up a review for that one as well. Cyclones of Chaos. Can't wait. If you read Tides of Redemption, please comment down in the comments. Let me know what you thought about it. I would love to talk to you about it. I'm bored. I hang out with little kids all day long. They're my kids. I'm not a weirdo. Stay-at-home dad. Okay, cut me some slack. But like, subscribe. I will see you guys for the next review. Hopefully on that little review copy I got. That was a terrible ending. Bye.